this choice of how to deal with this fear, right or wrong. Not going to judge anything. But yeah, the fallout is pretty extreme. So I have no idea if I have a job after this, or at least a job enough to keep me paying my bills. And I was having quite a challenge before, which is why I was driving to Toronto. But yeah, I don't even know if I was willing, hypothetically was willing to drive into Toronto again. And I'm not, because I don't have a place to work out of, and I don't know if I'm going to get the request anyways. So I'm not really quite certain what I'm going to do yet. But I have chosen, I mentioned it in an earlier talk, I have chosen to, very seriously thought about it, chosen to not find a home halfway between here and Toronto like I was planning before, so that I could have people just drive hour and a half to 2 hours to get their tattoos and make it much easier. And I realized that I'm really compromising my whole life, my whole self, my whole world, just for the possibility of making it convenient for others to come and get their tattoo. And they may not come. And there I am sitting there with a giant mortgage that I would take on to move that much closer. And no guarantee that someone's going to come anyways. And I thought, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not letting go of the wonderful connection I have to the earth out here. And the only thing that wasn't working was the fact that, number one, I had taken on too much in the big house that I had taken on to carry comfortably. And I realized all I need to do is reduce my debt, my responsibilities, so to speak, by selling this house that I was going to do anyways. But rather than moving closer and basically paying the same price for a home on 2 acres, a small home on 2 acres, as I paid for this big place on 135 acres, I can just take a small piece of this land, sell the rest, which is what I'm doing, and then renovate the old barn that I have for a fraction of what it would, for basically the down payment that I was going to use on a place closer, go completely off grid. And I have the most amazing off-grid specialist, solar specialist ever. Like, go figure that one out. Like, how lucky am I? Do these things just fall into place by accident, or am I being guided? Sometimes I wonder, because I tell you, things fall into place like you wouldn't believe. Just even that post I did on the Inuit dog, I wasn't looking for it. I actually went on YouTube, and I was just scrolling around, surfing, and just wanted to distract myself from all the stressful thinking that I was going through. And I love dogs among other animals, and I just went on to this video that was speaking about the Inuit dog. And I love, well, anyways, don't need to go into that. But so I went on for distraction, and this story just, it was very tragic, and I saw the parallel, and I thought, for all the people out there who are in denial that those in power could ever possibly not have your best interest in mind, this is a good wake-up call. And this is one example of many. And I asked my friends out there that were like commenting in a positive way about this article that I had posted, Indigenous or not. I said, if any of you have other stories to share, I believe now is the time to share these stories. You may not have shared them before because no one was listening, but I think there's a portal opening. I kid you not, there is a portal opening, which is why I'm working on all the things I've been working on art-wise, for healing. The carved pumpkin, clearing the energy for healing. Then the polar bear medicine skull for healing, the whole medicinal healing aspect to things, and the link to indigenous cultures and to more polar bears in Canada than anywhere else, if people don't know that. But the metaphorical, symbolic, real, everything in that, and even the idea of taking an old, sort of thrown away, discarded thing such as a skull that has formed and done what it needed to do through the bear's life, and then was hunted by an Inuit hunter, fed his family, his community, and then was brought home by someone out there, non-Indigenous, doing work, and then was left in a shed for 15 years and in pretty bad condition. I took that, and I like the symbolism of taking something that's old, that is related to death, that is discarded, and even that some people would have a politically would have an issue with. And I thought, this is the greatest opportunity, the pivotal point for a transformation to work, is to take something like that that's related to death and turn it into life, and turn it into something that activates and wakes people up and heals people, and to show the reverence and respect for that being that it once was, and the connection that it makes on so many levels. And then from that project, working on the church door portal project, which if you don't know anything about, you can go on to my artist page, both on Facebook and on Instagram. That's why I'm working on this portal project, is because it's not to make a portal, just for clarification. It's recognizing that there is a portal opening, a potential doorway into a way better future. But it's pivotal, and it won't be open for long, and then it closes again. And then you miss your opportunity or not, or you take advantage of that opportunity. So I'm doing this door project to enhance the possibility that people will recognize this opportunity and walk through that portal, and follow their inner GPS, excuse me, their heart, and not fight for an illusion. And once again, to remind you, anyone that gets activated by me saying that they're fighting for an illusion, I'm not talking about whether or not some virus is real or not. This is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the illusion surrounding this issue. That the virus situation, we'll say, is blinding us from recognizing, like a deer in headlights. So whether it's real, whether it isn't, that's nothing to do with what I'm talking about. I'm talking about how that situation and that fear promoted, real or not real, doesn't matter, is being hijacked, utilized, whatever it is, maybe manufactured, at least aspects manufactured, to further anchor us, chain us, shut us off from our true abilities, our true powers. And I know there's voices out there cackling and going, oh my God, he thinks we're some kind of magical being. I think magical is something, or supernatural is something, a perspective from those that don't perceive our true potential. It's just natural. We have been so long disconnected from what our true potential is that we don't even know anymore. And that's why, one of the reasons why I have such a connection with my Indigenous friends out there and their situation. Because imagine when your connection was only 100 years ago, and only within that time period, you've had it slaughtered out of you, beaten out of you. The list goes on. And at the same time, a teeny little smattering of people recognizing what's going on and maybe standing up and saying something about it, but the rest have all just bought into the illusion again, and even jumping in, thinking they're compassionate people and saying, oh, well, I think they're just a little overreacting and they're da-da-da-da, and they don't get reality. That's all bullshit. Sorry. I don't accept that bullshit. But now it's happening to us on another level. I always told my Indigenous friends that I believed that what's happening has happened and is happening to them, that sort of kind of an extermination, at least. It's like a book I read once. It was Kill the Indian, Save the White Man. I don't know if it's the exact words, but it was basically don't physically kill someone, but kill their soul and therefore turn them into quote unquote white man. Because minus that soul, minus that connection, minus their roots, and their roots also were their language, which they were forbidden to speak. That is part of their roots. In their language was their connection to everything. So now they're left trying to recover from abuse throughout their whole lives, from this systematic form of root sterilization, heart sterilization, and yet they're still hanging in there and still fighting for their truth and their rights and their identity, regardless. So I always felt that I didn't want to offend anyone, but I would say, well, not to take away from your concerns and your very real situation, but I believe that is part of the bigger picture, which is attack on all of us. I just think that the white people, the colonized already, and the colonists have already had this done to them from a way back. So they're already, Monsanto, metaphorically speaking, Monsanto seedless, rootless plants, monstrosities, just like the factory chickens and the factory pigs and the, designed to be as close to brainless as possible, under the guise from the compassionate farmers that, oh, well, this way they don't suffer as much. If they can't think, they don't know how to forage, they're not going to try and break out of their pens. This is the truth for animals, an aspect of it. Also for higher milk production and higher this and higher that. So they die faster. The food they're fed is killing them, but yet they're not kept alive long enough to ever find out. These are all truths, by the way, for any of you that are freaking out thinking I'm just babbling on. But I see the parallel between the whole animal husbandry thing and the whole attitude that we're being sold on. I see the parallel with that in ourselves, and I think that's why a lot of us do not recognize this, because we are like the academic who's invested his whole life in his work and then finds out that it's wrong and won't let go. So he will fight for his whiskey and milk, for his tenured position. And that's what I see people doing right now, under the disguise of fighting for the perception, right or wrong, of people dying of a virus. They just don't get it. They're blinded by the headlights, by fear. And once again, to clarify, that has nothing to do with the argument of whether this virus is real or not, and what it is and what it's, that's aside from that. We are having our freedoms taken away day by day, and this time globally. Like, is that not enough to alarm people? It's kind of freaky, and so it's no surprise that my Indigenous friends get it. They don't have to be convinced. They're on board. They know, they've gone through this before. They've been working this, and the more radical amongst them are, because they're just like anyone, human beings. There are some that have conformed more than others, and then there's tensions in the community as well that I don't know a lot about, but I'm just aware of from the peripheral. But yeah, so it's no surprise that so many Indigenous people are right on board. They know what's happening. They know what's going on because it's been happening to them nonstop since they were born. So hopefully this message is taken in the spirit that is meant. And this makes sense, and something of what I'm saying comes clear. If not, there's nothing I can really do about it. But at least acknowledge that this message was sent from my heart, from a place of love and compassion for my fellow person, and with the hopes that healing is happening on this planet as we speak, regardless of this war on us, on our souls, that's happening, because we can beat it. If we do not give our approval, it can't happen. It's just that if everyone just gives their approval, then of course it's going to happen. So question things. Aside from, you know what? And I would recommend that you question a lot of things that are being put up all over the cities, everywhere in the world right now, as we're in lockdown. And it has to do with a number 5 and a letter, A, B, C, D, E, F, something, H, I, J, if you get my drift. And I'm not going to say anything about it, but I'm just going to say, pay attention and ask yourself, why is this stuff getting set up while we're locked away? It's kind of suspicious, don't you think? Why is Elon Musk having hundreds, possibly thousands of satellites flown up into space while we're in lockdown? Why is Elon Musk, why has he, and you can check this is official, this is not taken out of context from his own mouth. He has a machine, a robot already made, because human surgeons cannot do this kind of a precision, that can and will and have already, or else it wouldn't be made, probably on tons of animals first, pretty nice, to neural thread our brains. Yep, this is the facts. And the way he's convincing people that it's a good thing, if you don't get lured in by the idea that you can jack yourself into virtual reality, like all the young kids will go for it, and for those that don't buy that, the story is, well, we can heal mental illness. Bullshit. Mental illness is the furthest from people's awareness and ability to heal as it is. And half the time, a lot of the mental illness is from the world we're in that's causing it. And they're just going to amp up the situation with the 5 whatever and every other toxicity known to man, and then say, well, yeah, but our neural threading will heal it all. God, we can't even stop our computers from crashing. So you get my drift, right? It's pretty fucked up. But what is fucked up is that people aren't getting it. Or maybe they are. Maybe more people are getting it than I realize. I don't know. But I welcome people's comments. The 3 or 4 of you that have watched it. It's kind of funny, But anyways, I'm going to say goodbye. I think this is the longest talk I've ever had. 56 minutes, going on 57. So at 57, I'm going to say goodbye. Have a wonderful day. And I really welcome your comments. Thank you.